Hey, what's up YouTube? Today I'm going to give you guys a full review of the Traktor Control Z2. This is a 2+2 mixer. And first I want to get over some of the things I don't like. So if you watched my first review, you know that I had a horrible issue where I plugged the Traktor control into my computer before I turned the Traktor control on and it caused it to crash. So what I would advise for any of you who are going to be using the Traktor Control Z2 is to turn this on before you plug in any USB ports. When you unplug it from when you unhook it from your system, leave it on when you unhook the USB ports, so that way you won't have any issues. What happened to me was this caused my computer to crash, and it took it 10 minutes to reboot, and then after the reboot I had to do a system restore because I had lost all of my folders for whatever reason. I don't know, I guess the power surge caused Traktor to go berserk, and I wasn't even able to use this mixer at all. It sat there on the mixing desk unpowered whole entire gig. So next, what I want to discuss are the buttons, and don't jump to conclusions about what I'm about to say. With these buttons, they feel great, and this is actually the #1 feature of this mixer. But one thing they could probably work on in the future is these buttons can get stuck, and I don't know if it's because of the removable plates, because these plates are removable. And to get this one out, these are magnetically removable plates. Twice one of these buttons got stuck on me. I'm sure that's something they could fix. Maybe if you take this off, it won't get stuck. But outside of that, these buttons feel absolutely great. I love the touch of them. They're extremely squishy. When you're really going in and pressing hard, there's no fatigue on your fingers after long use. If you were to compare it to other controllers, that is one really nice feature of this mixer. But that is one gripe, but sometimes they do get stuck. Another thing is there's inconsistency with the way the knobs feel. Some of them are really smooth, and I don't know if that's just the one I purchased. Maybe other ones are different. Some of them are really stiffer. Like this low here is a whole lot stiffer than this mid. This low, wow, this low doesn't feel like there's hardly any resistance. Minor things. Even though I do have these small gripes, the positives outweigh the negatives by far, and I would definitely suggest this mixer as a mixer to purchase, especially considering the price point. It's an excellent mixer. One other thing is underneath these buttons, well, this one's metal here. Some of these other buttons have plastic underneath of them. And if you've been in this field long enough, or in any type of audio field, you know that plastic connectors are no good. So that's one thing I'd like to see during an upgrade. But I mean, how many DJs are moving over to controllers and all types of different software? They probably just wanted to cut corners there, and I can't blame them. But I would say in the future, I would like to see that turn to metal. And also, my last gripe is with the line inputs, which are RCA. I would like to see them add a line input, which is also 1/4 inch, and possibly have another line input if you'd like to control the other decks, have them as throughs, but this is only a 2+2, so you're only going to get the 2-channel input here. So outside of that, I don't have any other gripes with the mixer that I can think of at the moment. I know some people have complained about the crossfader. I haven't had any issues with the crossfader, and I do a lot of cutting and a lot of crossfading throughout my mixes. So far I've used this at 5 to 6 gigs so far, so I haven't had an issue with that. Other than that, I would say it's an excellent mixer. So I'm going to get this hooked up, but before I hook it up, I'll just explain to you the functions and all the inputs and outputs of the mixer on the other side. So before I hook anything up to the Traktor Control Z2, let me show you what you get. On the front of the mixer, you get a 1/4 inch headphone input jack with an 1/8 inch. You get a crossfader curve, which works excellently. These are endo faders, that's at least what they're telling us. And you also get a hamster reverse or a crossfader reverse switch. Also on the back, you get your IEC connector, which is nice because it doesn't have, you can use whichever length cable you want. You have your USB connector, you have your USB hub, you have the master out, which is XLR, and you also get the same connection with that master out with RCA. You get a booth out, which is 1/4 inch. You get your line input. You get your phono inputs. Same thing with channel A. you get an aux RCA input and a mic input here, and you obviously you got your ground connectors here, and you get a lock. So over to the top of the mixer, what you get is your aux mic input with a button to control the mic. You get a tone control, which is their own algorithm, which makes your voice, you just twist around the knob to find a setting you like the most. I believe it's just basically boosting or cutting the highs, or boosting and cutting the lows, whichever way you turn it. You get your macro effects, dry wet, you get your effects. One interesting thing is the 0 point is at the top as opposed to being all the way at the bottom like with the volume, so you can plus or minus with your effects and plus or minus with your dry wet, which is really interesting. Deck C volume, your loop size, and activate and move control here. This is how you select which deck these buttons control. And from the factory, these are going to be your cue points, but you can program them to be whatever you want. I'm pretty sure most people will leave them as their cue points. And this is the button for Flux Mode. We'll explain that once I get everything hooked up. So here's your selector switch at the top. This selector is for phono, and then line, and then this button here, no matter which position this is in, this button here will allow you to control the software internally. Once you engage that, we'll show you that on the other side. Gain, high, mid, low, and your filter, which sounds excellent, and has a notch to let you know once you're in the middle, as well as the high, mid, and low. The gain does not. Your FX parameters, this is how you turn your effects on, and obviously with Traktor you can program this to do whatever you want. This lets you know how many measures or what your increments are for when you're looping, and obviously here is the innovator for this side. This is a little stiffer. Isn't the stiffest I've ever felt, but it has a nice feel, so you can get your nice smooth crossfades up or down. This is snap. This is the cogwheel. This is quantize. Here's your browser, load A or load B. Here's your headphone volume. Here's your Q mix, which has a notch at the top, so you know when you're in the center. You can select AC or BD, or you can select all. Here's your relative and internal mode. Here's your sync, and here's shift. So this side you get your output. You get your booth. This is identical to A and C. And let's hook everything up. See you guys on the other side. Okay, so I'm back and I have everything all set up. So in sequence, I want to show you guys how to, in my experience, properly have the Traktor Control Z2 set up to your computer. You want to turn the Traktor on first. There's a nice power up. I'm not sure with the lighting if you can see how pretty the power up was, but it just flashes all the LEDs on and off real quick, lets you know everything is working. So the Z2 has been powered on, and at this point, this is when you want to plug in your USB connector into your computer. And this light here lets you know that the USB connection is active. Let me try something. I haven't pushed this yet, but let me push this and see what happens. Yeah, we're getting nothing. So that just lets you know the USB port is active. I'm pretty sure that button can be programmed. So let's fire up Traktor and let's see what we get. There we go. That's what I wanted you guys to see. When you first turn on Traktor and you've unpowered your computer, it's going to be in through mode by default. And before I turn Traktor into internal mode and operate some things and show you guys some things, I'm just going to let you guys see how through mode works. I've actually uploaded my Traktor control CD to my iPad. Let me find one of my own tracks here. So we're in through mode. And as you can see, you do get levels on the software. So I'm going to stop that. And we're going to switch to internal mode. And here's how you do that, by pressing these buttons here. And I'll press this one here. And as you can see, we are no longer in through mode. One other nice thing with Traktor also is that they've updated the software to 2.62. And I don't know if the crash I had previously was in regards to it not being 2.62, but some of the things that are better, I noticed a lot of uploaders had a lot of issues with, was the fact that the Traktor control vinyl would not sync properly or wouldn't calibrate properly. And I just put a real cheap needle on my turntable. This isn't the greatest turntable in the world, but it works excellently. I actually managed to get it not to skip, no matter what you, well, I mean, obviously there's things you can do to get it to skip, but basically when you're scratching, it works virtually flawlessly. And even though my inputs are low, the calibrate still works fine. And I'll let you guys see that. So I'm not having any issue even though the level's low. And sometimes it will flash up on the screen that it's low. And I'll give you guys a little bit of scratching just to let you know that even though the levels are low, the calibration is working fine. That's working great. Okay, so let's get into Flux Mode real quick. And basically Flux Mode lets the track continue to play. And typically when you press a cue point or you have the track loop, what will happen is the track will end up playing from where you press the cue point, from where the cue point starts. So that's how the cue points work. But if you initiate Flux Mode, the track will play from where it left off even though you initiate a loop or you press the cue point. And I'll let you hear the loop mode with Flux Mode on. So that's Flux Mode. So what I also let you hear is how the effects work with the 0 point at the top. So this is the filter. So I'll turn the effect out. And you hit it off and it just goes off as if it wasn't off. As if it wasn't on. With the pre-post effect, I have my delay set up in post. So check this out. This wasn't a feature available before. So I can pull this fader down and you still get your delay or whichever effect. You still get to hear that tail end as previously with the effect being pre. When you pulled the fader down, you actually had to stop your media in order to hear that continue. So that is another interesting feature that the Traktor Control Z2 gives you along with the new software. So I'll let you guys hear the filter also, and I'll let you hear the low, mid, high, and how the cuts sound. So that sounds excellent. And with the filter that they have set up, you can cut the highs all the way out. You can cut the mids. And you can cut the low. So one thing I'm not absolutely crazy about with a lot of different controllers, with the Q mix, when you select deck A or deck B or deck C or deck D or whatever, the Q mix will automatically switch to the available deck that you want to listen to. For me, it's one less button push, but when that feature is available. But with the Z2, you actually have to select which ones you want to listen to. You can listen to both at the same time or one at a time. But keep in mind that if you do purchase this mixer, you will have to physically select which deck you want to listen to. You have the removable faceplate, and this is magnetic. And I think this is what causes the buttons to actually stick sometimes. Doesn't happen frequently, but to me it's happened at 2 gigs where my buttons got stuck. But this is this plate is removable, as you can see, and it is magnetic. The connectors for these buttons are plastic. That's one thing I'm not crazy about, but overall it's still worth the purchase. I believe I'll let you guys hear the line through and how that works. I'll load up the Traktor playback so you can check that out. So that's working absolutely fine. I'm not really sure there's too much I can go over. The outputs sound excellent. You get a Cirrus Logic sound card, which sounds like a beast. Is absolutely clean. You can crank up, and everything sounds good as long as the files you're playing sound good. You get your shift function, and one thing that's interesting about this is you don't even need a turntable or any other controllers. With this shift internal mode, this will play a track for you. So if you're playing, and look at that, see the button stuck. But that's just a minor issue. You can press that again to make it stop. Just to pick up on where I left off, you don't need a turntable or any other hardware to work with the Traktor Z2, especially if you're doing EDM. You can start and stop your music from right within the mixer, and you can rock all day long without even needing any other additional hardware. So if you're playing any other type of genres, you might want to have a turntable, or I have the Twitch set up. You might want to have the Twitch, or I can do any variation of setups. I can just bring my iPad in to control Z2, or the Twitch, or the turntable, or I can use all three. They all have their benefits. One thing that is nice with the new update, you can program your remix decks further than what you could before. I mean, they did give you some flexibility, but now it's hard-coded in the hard software to where you can program any controller you want to operate the remix decks. And basically, the Z2 already gives you control of the remix deck, so once you press a button once, that's all you have to do. It'll actually trigger your sample in the remix deck.
With Tracknologist turned up with Tracknologist.
I'm pretty sure a lot of you will figure this out. There is a way you can actually program this so it can go down to different pages, and I'll show you guys real quick that I do have this program.
Tracknologist. We working with.
And I have this side programmed also. So where a lot of guys will be using Machine, I'm going to be using my Twitch. And the Twitch still has tons of functionality that works perfectly with the Traktor Control Z2. So, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but these faders kind of give you like a little bit of resistance. When you hit the crossfader reverse or the hamster switch, that lights up right there, so you can see that. The levels, the master levels are here, and here, this side are the levels for. So this side shows the level for deck B, and that side shows A. There's the master in the center, which is a nice touch. Overall, I would say this mixer is a must purchase. I can imagine once they do upgrade this mixer, if they ever do in the future or anytime soon, it's going to be light years better than this. But there isn't really too many more things they can do to improve this mixer. So I would definitely give it an 8 out of 10. I would say it's a purchase, a definite must buy. If you have any questions, just hit me up below and I'll let you guys know what I think. I'll be back with another review after I knock out maybe 20 gigs, let you guys know how everything's going, how it's working. I'll see you soon. Peace.